explanation of this, or the sort of Keynes school explanation, is that, well, there is another place where the money can go, right? As the income and wealth go up toward the top, even if they're not consuming as much as people below the top, they might try to find something else to do with their money. They don't just put it under a mattress or bury it in the backyard or whatever, right? They invest it, right? And so a kind of corollary to the diminishing MPC in the Keynes picture is what I'll call investment dependence, right? Basically, continued macroeconomic health and growth and employment becomes increasingly investment dependent, and because it can rely less on consumer expenditure, at least proportionally speaking, right? So in order then to keep the economy moving, keep growth going on, keep people employed, you've got to come up with investment outlets that themselves keep people employed, right? Now, in Keynes's day, you would think in terms of, well, okay, that means, okay, more investment in plant, right? Okay, yeah, you have to spend your money to sort of produce or build or purchase more machine tools, or, you know, robots, or whatever it is that you invest in to produce more. And at least for some period of time, Keynes would point out, that kind of thing can serve as a sort of substitute, as another supply, another sort of input to aggregate demand that might sort of wash out the diminishing relative consumption, right? But the problem with that is then the third contribution by the Keynes school, and I'm going to call that feedback finance. So basic idea is, and feedback finance and sort of financial fragility. So basically the idea is that the more investment dependent continued macroeconomic health, growth, employment become, the more vulnerable the economy becomes to the financial markets themselves' proneness to occasional periods, right, of sort of excess exuberance followed by excess, what some of the old political economists would call revulsion, right, just boom and bust cycles, basically. If you want to find the source of those three elements, those three bits that Keynes adds to the classical political economist picture, you look to part 2 of the general theory for the first two, right, for the MPC and consequent investment dependence. And then if you want to see the best, I think it's still the unsurpassed account of financial fragility, and basically this is where Minsky takes off from. It's chapter 12 of the general theory, just an unbelievably well-written chapter and very evocative. All right, so that's the second layer in the development of this model. What then can Daniel and I possibly add, right? Well, not a great deal, but just a little bit of extra nuance. So what we do is, insofar as you can view the sort of Keynes, Haletsky, Robinson model as sort of taking the classical underconsumptionist model and adding a bit of nuance, adding some additional sort of elements of the sort of filling out more detail of the mechanism that we're appealing to, we're going to add just a tiny bit more detail to that one, right? So you take Keynes and then say plus, add the following. First, what we're calling sticky consumer preference, which is to say, if you've become accustomed to a particular material standard of living as a consumer, and then your income begins to decline or to stagnate, you still want to maintain the, Jane Austen might almost put it this way, the lifestyle to which you've become accustomed, right? So you want to keep purchasing the sorts of things you used to purchase. You want to live as you've lived, even if living that way becomes less affordable, okay? There's that element. Next element is financial innovation that arises, or that sort of accelerates to satisfy a particular demand that is created by that sticky